So I'm sure everybody's already seen the post about We Are the Left by now. There was some letter authored by the left that conveniently excluded a lot of us, right? I mean, we are
arguable,
the arguable left. We are the chosen few of the left, supposedly. Ben had a really great takedown of the left. You can check them out on Twitter. They are We Are the Left on Twitter, and several different people. And apparently there was some issue earlier today where they were retweeting someone who was anti-trans or homophobic or something, and they weren't really paying attention. You know, they have these really strange allegiances. You know, a couple of the people are people that Ben has had interactions with, that people have dug up old tweets from them, and they've said some pretty hateful, racist, homophobic, transphobic things in the past. But you know, they're the left. They represent us, not very much at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with that. I don't
Go
think
ahead.
I mean, if anybody's familiar with what I've been saying, yeah, a lot. So what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing a lot of people who are in a similar position where we who are the left. What does it mean to be a leftist? What does it mean to be on the left?
Right.
Apparently, it just means that you are not a complete right-wing Looney Tune. Apparently it just means you're not a complete outright open racist. And so a lot of what these people who signed this letter and other people among that crowd think is they just define themselves by what they're not. So, we are not Republicans. We are not, evangelical, whatever, people. We're not hardcore homophobes. So
right.
A lot of what they define is by what they're not. And or they might be pro-choice,
right.
Or pro-gay marriage and things like that. But as you know, the thing is that I've lived in a few countries, and the way that the left, what is the left, is not just about these personal freedoms, which is also part of the left, but it's also about the larger social structure. And in the social structure, these people who signed this letter are not the left. Not for the most part. Some of them might be, but there's more to the left than, as I said in one of my tweets, there's more to it than being pro-choice and pro-gay marriage.
Yes, I saw that one.
You know,
I probably retweeted it.
There's more to it. I mean, the left is about challenging the dominating a system that is a system of exploitation, oppression, financial, dominance by certain, small minority, 1% corporations. It's socialism, which is like regulated, very regulated, robust version of capitalism, or capitalism that's very well regulated. Or, there's a spectrum, obviously, but these people are very, very close to the center of, or even center right.
Right.
So they can't claim they're the left. I feel like it's arrogant. It's appropriation. Yeah, and they didn't ask any of us who are also on the left. And
apparently some of the people they referred to weren't even included in the initial conversation or even asked to sign on.
Yeah, there was at least one person.
Hubris. It's a lot of hubris on their part, really. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I was going to say they used somebody's story without her consent, and then another person also asked them to remove her name. So yeah, so I've been seeing this too.
Particularly when for those who aren't aware, one of the young women who were involved in the Black Lives Matter interruption in Seattle, Bernie Sanders last summer, she was used as a reference, right? Because quite honestly, a lot of this is positioned as if there's something. Basically, they're the real left, and basically the Bernie bros that the pseudo left, i.e., the Bernie Sanders rising movement is full of just white people who are threatened by identity politics and don't understand and don't embrace diversity. When that's far from the truth. You're looking at two women of color right here, who defy the constant knowledge, and that letter did not speak for our experience. Maybe there are people out there who that they did speak from, but to speak with such authority and absolutism, as if that is the absolute truth and the whole truth, and nothing else could be true, is farther from the truth, really. When you're really like you were just saying, when you're looking at upholding certain systems of oppression and equality, but hey, we got diversity. When your version of diversity is now we have some Black and Latino and other people of color in these positions of power held by white people, without dismantling the position of power that actually oppresses and subjugates others, you're not really left. You're maybe at best left-ish. It's so reading. So there are a couple of cool takedowns on Twitter, a couple of cool Medium posts and stuff that I've seen. But my biggest problem with this is, like I said, it's predicated on a bunch of fallacies that have been perpetrated over the past year that continue to do so, as if somehow this Hillary Clinton alliance is the best. When we talk about issues of intersectionality, really, intersectionality and feminism are words I want to die. Like, I just want them to die. I want people to stop using them altogether. Not because they're not good words, or not because there's something wrong with the concepts, because they have been completely hijacked. Like I said earlier, it's like when people start using bling bling on TV, like, it completely has no meaning anymore. When they talk about how we're concerned about identity politics, they clearly forget about class. Right? They throw class out the window. If you don't agree with them and their, neoliberal diversity, then somehow you're anti-left, you're anti-progress. But what you're calling progress is really just maintenance of the existing system, with maybe a smidge of a little something temporarily incremental that might help right now, but it's going to cause disaster down the line. I mean, that's what we saw in the 90s. Under Bill Clinton, you may have had some things that alleviated the system and made financially things a little better for the time being, but we saw exacerbated conditions going into the 2000s, culminating in, the financial crisis, the current condition in Puerto Rico. I mean, it's problematic on so many different levels, and I'm really tired of the appropriation, misappropriation, the identity politics being used as a shield to hide very bad policy, to hide these are people who support a warmonger who has no problem killing brown people abroad, who has no problem killing women and children abroad, because it's a business opportunity.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, I don't understand how people who supposedly claim to be feminists and who claim to be progressive, who are, okay, first of all, this letter, just to give a background for anybody in the future or who might not have heard about this, was signed by a few dozen people. And I came across this yesterday morning yesterday morning. And then I read through it, and then I saw the list of signatures at the bottom. And that's what, I read through it, and the letter itself read a bit like, okay, so the letter addresses the mostly the quote unquote harassment or abuse or trolling of women on the internet. So there were anecdotes and stories and about how women are being harassed on the internet, and basically the gist of the letter was that they're being harassed by leftist dude bros, white dude bros. That was the narrative of the letter, and obviously Bernie was mentioned. It wasn't mentioned, I don't think, anything. Yeah, it could be that I blocked some of it out, but I don't think they mentioned how many times women have been harassed by Hillary supporters as well. So that was left out.
I've been harassed by Hillary supporters of all shades, colors, and
male and female. Yes. I've been
told by white Hillary supporters I owe white women the right to vote, among other things. Like, yes.
Well, yeah, and all kinds of things, and that wasn't mentioned. So that obviously showed a certain bias against Bernie. And then when I saw the letters signatures, then it made sense to me, because a vast majority of them, I recognize them right away as people who have been shilling for Hillary for this, for the entire previous 6 months, and who have been actively, sort of engaging in a narrative that was apologetic. They were making excuses for all the rigging, the vote rigging. They were making excuses for all the sexism that we saw from the Hillary camp. They were meanwhile turning around calling us sexist and then erasing our gender.
These are the same people who had no qualms with David Brock and what's his name, the other one from Blue Nation Review. I can't stand him. I can't even think of his name. I'm drawing a bunch of calling things rape that were not rape. Hillary Clinton being told she needs a participate in the California debate, that being compared to rape was absolutely atrocious. Things that are not rape should never be compared to rape, and all of those
while ignoring all the things about Bill Clinton that we know.
All people were absolutely silent on those issues. I mean, they also used the example of like I said, the young women from Seattle interrupting Bernie in the way they were perceived as being treated, and there was no mention of the young women and the young people in general that Hillary Clinton has had tossed out of events that she has told, why don't you just go run for something? I mean, all types of other condescending things that have come out of her mouth. I mean, it's a problem. If we're gonna hold people accountable, if we're gonna say there's an issue, then we need to stop with this, this pseudo positioning of righteousness as if somehow we're speaking up and defending, some concept, when really we're just trying to maintain our position in the evil empire. I mean, I don't have on my Empire Strikes, I don't have on my Millennium Falcon shirt tonight, but I'm still all Rebel One up, okay? Like I'm Rebel Leader #1. But and this is why I have a problem with getting behind Hillary Clinton. I get you guys. Trump bad, Trump evil, boogeyman. Ooh, America's bad and evil to some extent, in many ways. And I cannot get behind an effort to misuse. I can't to misuse struggle, to misuse identity, to misuse so many issues that need to actually be really addressed, that are not, it's not happening. And we want to sit here and project and pretend that, we're actually making some type of progress when really we're not. Things are not going to change for you under Hillary Clinton. They're trying to tell you that things are going to be really bad under Trump. If Pence actually does turn out to be his VP, I mean, that may be a point. You definitely need to make an informed decision for yourself. But I do think no matter what you do voting wise, if you do decide Unite Blue is for you or not, you need to challenge bad narratives and bad rhetoric like this. Like it has to be challenged.
For some of these people, they actually are working for the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Like, that is even more disingenuous. Yes.
Rebecca Traister works for Hillary Clinton. I think Jessica Valenti has family members who have worked with the Hillary Clinton with the Clinton Foundation, and there are other sort of implications that some of these people are, and then, you have like Neera Tanden, right? And I think Joan Walsh, or her daughter works for her. So there's all these connections. That's just the ones we know of. Okay. So there's financial gain for these people. And, these people do stand to gain. They'll get, they'll get various little positions. They'll be set for life. They'll get a nice six-figure salary, and they're going to write their books and have their little things. So they're going to get
special treatment in the press corps and et cetera, et cetera.
But the rest of us, no.
Yeah, no, and it's disconcerting too, because just like what you said, like we've seen with CNN, right? People using paid analysts supposedly who are really actually paid employees of either super PACs or PACs related to the Clinton campaign, or somehow otherwise affiliated with the campaign. I mean, this has been a spin job from day one, and this We Are the Left letter is another hack job. This is another attempt to try and galvanize people and push them towards a certain candidate, because Trump bad is not working. I mean, I was having a conversation with someone on Twitter earlier where we were just talking about how this is just an awful election cycle. You take Bernie Sanders out of the equation, which was really the only thing that even interested anyone on the left, quote unquote, right? It's just really depressing because Hillary Clinton sucks and Donald Trump sucks. And you're just like, this is really, my 15-year-old threatens me with her passport all the time. She's like, I'm leaving. I'm getting my passport and I'm going, mommy. That's not really happening, but it's in the conversation I was having earlier, we were talking about how this is more like 2000, not 2008. 2008 was a historic election. People were really galvanized and energized. This is like 2000. Everybody's like, can this already be over? Gore was okay. Lieberman was a craptastic choice for a VP, did nothing to energize the ticket. Thinking about the vice president's selection of these two, now in this cycle, it's probably going to depress folks even more. Like they're going to have to pay people to go vote. Like really, it's not, I don't know. It's disconcerting. It's really disconcerting.
This letter, I swear to God, I mean, I could be wrong, but it seemed like it was another one of these David Brock things.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was a David Brock organized. Which for all the Black women that are involved, I'm so surprised that you all would continue to align yourself, considering how she allows that man to exist within her circle and how he has decimated not just people in general, but specifically Anita Hill. Like that is just, I mean, I don't, people act like things are so unforgivable, but then yet they overlook things like that. Like even the conversation I was just having about Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter issues, these very poor conversations on race. You have all these people like, yes, Slay Queen, Hillary, oh my God. And then they get upset about these very poor conversations on race, but they don't make the connection. You know, it's a serious disconnect happening right now. And I don't know that we're actually going to change anyone's mind or viewpoint, but I do know that we need to continue to call out for false narratives. And no, that does not mean that I'm ideologically pure. I reject ideological purity. I had people yelling at me last night because I was questioning Jill Stein. I mean, we should question everyone and everything. That doesn't mean you don't get behind people. But you hold people. If you don't ask questions, how can you hold anyone accountable?
Well, it's about degrees, and it's about, for me, it's like, nobody's perfect. I'm not expecting a perfect candidate or perfect anything, but there are different degrees. There are degrees of difference between Hillary and between Bernie, or between Hillary and Bernie and Jill, or Trump on the other side. I mean, it's, on some issues, Trump is to the left of Hillary.
Yes, especially when you talk about militarism, you talk about, Palestine, TPP. Israel, I mean, TPP,
at least
if he brings Pence on board, then it's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. I mean, he's a racist, fascist, sexist. Like, there's no way. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying on some issues, he's still left of her. So I think a lot of these distinctions about left, right are sort of muddled. But at the same time, words do have meaning, and left means, left is more towards equitable, anti-oppression in all aspects. And that includes class. In fact, that is where the idea of left is like rooted. It's not rooted in just, having gay marriage and having access to abortion and
gay marriage. Think about it too. Gay marriage, that battle is a very classist battle, because marriage is something that is a privilege that in many cases only people of a certain class can even afford to indulge in. Yeah. Most people, when you're talking about issues, we're like, yeah, gay marriage, but we still have housing and job discrimination, which really tends to impact people who are lower income and working class than anyone else. When you talk about that discrimination.
As a queer woman, this is actually a huge issue, because I don't care about gay marriage. I've never actually, I care about equality, but for me, it's not that and this has actually been written about in many papers and magazines and articles and everything, that gay marriage thing has become, it's taken over the LGBT rights thing, where actually it's not the biggest issue. And it became the biggest issue because, like, a lot of cis gay men and some cis gay women, who have more money than trans youth, for example, or, younger gay people, or bi people, or, a lot of their issues like homelessness, things like that became less important, and gay marriage became more important because there's more money in cis gay men and, who want to get married. So it became this issue for the whole community, but it really isn't. And there's a lot of queer people like me who are like, we don't give a shit. Like, it's not the main issue. And it is a conservative issue, really. Marriage is a sort of a traditional conservative institution.
Exactly. It is. And like you said, you have issues with when we talk about police killings, or not police killings, when we talk about killings going unpunished, unsolved, people who need protection. We're talking about, we talk about trans people in general, but trans people of color,
trans people of color and trans sex workers.
Sex workers.
There's so many issues that are,
and we talk about the issue with teen homelessness. Like I said, the housing discrimination, the fact that you can be fired because of your sexuality, because of your choice of partner. Well, not choice of partner, but because of those things, you can be refused housing. People who you love. Yes.
Thank you for. There's still states. I don't know the exact number, but there's still states that allow open discrimination against trans people. It's called it's called the trans panic or something, and it used to actually be for all gay men, but now it's like basically trans person can just be fired or kicked out of the house for no reason, just because somebody can claim that they scare them, that they are uncomfortable around the trans person. Like, it's literally on the books, it's legal. So
Yep.
it's and this is in the majority of the states.
And this is a huge evil. And when you talk about housing, when you talk about jobs, these are like huge issues that affect people primarily on a class level, more so than anything else. People don't, when you're lower and working class poor, you don't have the same access to legal recourses to challenge these decisions as if you were someone who was middle or upper middle class or whatever. So it's not a concern in the same way. So no, and here we go back to our conversation about we are the left. There is the left, and then there's leftish. And a lot of people who consider themselves the left are leftish.
Exactly, yeah.
Or they're left on certain issues. It's like when people say they're what, socially liberal and fiscally conservative.
That means you're a conservative. That means you're a right winger. I'm sorry, but everybody's socially liberal now. Everybody's socially left. Like
it's the end thing to be. Even apparently what's his name? Newt Gingrich is getting a little socially liberal now. I mean,
yeah. And the next generation of evangelical Christians, their younger people are like pro gay marriage. So the social liberalism. I mean, they're still like anti-choice or anti-abortion, but social liberalism is confused as being left, but it's not. So, liberal is, I was explaining to somebody, liberalism is about not having the state basically get into your stuff. Like not, deregulation. That's what liberalism really means. It's not having the state intervene on your life, and that's most people, I think, agree, right? So we are all socially liberal in terms. I don't want the state telling me, who to marry or what to do or abortions and various things like that. We're all liberal on that, as in we and the people who sign this letter. But if they're economically conservative, which means fiscally conservative, which means they don't want to have they want lower taxes, they want to cut backs in social services, they're not pro like labor laws or like unions and environmental regulations. Those are the things that make them right wingers. So they're not left. I mean, you can see, you're right, they're leftish on some issues, social issues. But if economics cannot just be separated from social issues, they, like you said, they affect people.
And this goes back to the conversation earlier about how intersectionality is a word that has been completely taken out of context. It's been misappropriated, misconstrued. It's been bastardized, for lack of a better term, because they will talk about feminism as it applies to the individual. Like how you make something like feminism or racial justice work or any of this stuff an individualistic thing, that's not even at the core of the work. It's driven in equality and parity, and if that's not what you're striving for, you're just throwing around words because you want to throw around words.
And you're just using these words to get yourself ahead of the game, right? You're just a narcissist.